So this lesson is going to be on animating the camera and using the camera sequencer. I'm going to cover this in 3 different lessons. The first one will be creating the cameras and animating them. The second one will be accessing and bringing the cameras and the shots into the camera sequencer. And then the third video will be editing and adjusting the shots using the camera sequencer. So I have the scene of the ball animating in that we had in class. This is a little older scene, so the table's a little different. So I'm going to use this animation to create a multi-camera setup. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my 2 cameras. So I'm going to go to Create, Cameras, Camera, and I'm going to name that's fine, Camera 1. There's a lot of ways that you can utilize it. I can animate it as normally. Here's the icon, and I can do that. So I could manipulate it like another object in the scene. But I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through it, I'm going to switch to it, and then I'm going to use the navigation tools to kind of set this up. So I'm going to select the camera. I'm going to go to View, and I am going to select the camera. Right. And I'm going to go up here to Panels, Perspective, Camera 1. So now I'm looking through the camera. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to set up the beginning of my shot. So let's just pick a shot here. I don't like the fact that I'm rotated in the Z. Let's try and get this a little bit more. There we go. Stable. All right, so let's say I'm going to start my camera shot pretty close. Let's say from here. Okay, so that's my beginning, and then I'm going to zoom out. So that's frame 1, and I'm going to give myself about half a second to start that zoom out. So go to, what am I, 24 frames per second. So I'm going to go to frame 12. Let's go to where the ball starts. Come in here. So I'm going to go to frame 24. And I'm going to set that as my first keyframe. And then I'll go to about frame 75. And I'll change the view. Kind of like that. Okay. So I have a camera move. And if I don't like this move, which I don't, I can kind of adjust it a little bit, add a little keyframe in the middle. That's a little better. Okay. And I'm going to hold this shot after frame 75. I'm going to hold it till about about frame 87, well, right before it hits the table here, maybe 80. So I'm going to hold it a little bit at the end here, but that I'll do later. But just note that I'm going to go to about frame 80, so I'm going to have maybe 5 or 6 frames here after the end of my motion. So I'm going to end, let's say, frame 81. So that's where my next shot will start from. This shot will be static. I'm just going to create another camera, and I'm going to change the focal length of this camera so it looks a little different. I'm going to do let's say a 75 millimeter lens, and I'm going to go to Panels, Perspective, and that's my camera, and I'll just zoom out here, and I'll have a view that looks maybe like that. Okay. So that's a static view. That'll be fine. And that'll be my second view. That will start on frame 82. So I've created both of the cameras. If I go back to my perspective view, zoom out a little bit, you can see this is my second camera. This is my first camera. This camera moves. and this camera static. Now I want to use both of them. I want to start with this camera as my first view, and I want to include its motion, and then I want to switch to this camera as it falls down and knocks the vase off the table. So I have these two cameras that I've created, one static, one in motion. In the next video, I'm going to utilize the camera sequencer to animate, to set up these two shots to do a play blast. But before I go, I'm going to increment and save.